You such a big boy?
Could be a big girl.
I built a computer. It's an AMD computer and it's awesome. And this ginormous Ramses, is it Ramesses or Ramses?
Ramesses!
So we have a beautiful AMD 3700X system here. It's going to be my new system. I'm going to add a few more things to it, but I wanted to show you what we have so far, especially in this new Ramses 760 case from ABKONCORE. You may not have heard of them. They're from Korea and they make some really elegant cases with, well, this one in particular has very thick tempered glass on both the front and the back to give it that nice uniform look. And then otherwise, it's very monolithic. It's not the most massive case I've ever seen, but it's still huge, and the amount of stuff that you can do with this is kind of ridiculous. Now, first off, it comes with 11 fans out of the box. And these are their Spectrum fans. They're kind of interesting. You guys have seen a lot of the Ring fans and stuff. These have 2 LED strips on either side of them. And then instead of having to go through your motherboard and that sort of thing, everything plugs into their own controller on the back. It doesn't require multiple cables. Like normally you have the fans and you have to have a regular fan plug and you have to have a separate cable just for the RGB. These all plug into the controller with one cable, and then all you need is a Molex connector. You don't need to plug this into the motherboard. It's very easy. It's already hooked up. Everything's pre-installed, so you don't have to waste 16 hours installing things and trying to with those stupid little RGB cables. So I do like that. And then when you want to control it, you just pop out your remote. And you don't have an infinite number of options, but you have a lot of options to change from, you know, all the different colors and different modes. There's like rainbow mode and nightmare carnival mode. They probably have better names than that, but I like my names. That's what we're going to use. And then there's like the gay pride mode. And what else we have? They have the rain mode that's pretty. And just a bunch of fun different modes to play with. But really, it's all about getting the color that makes you happy. Or guess what? If you don't like it, you can turn it off. And then you don't need to complain. Or you can complain because that's your nature. I took a couple of them out on the top there so I could fit the Corsair 280mm H115i RGB Platinum. Right there it is. So I fit that in there because I wanted a little extra cooling. But I also got some shots of this. I was nice enough. I got some shots of this with the stock CPU cooler, just so you could see how it looks with all of the ABKONCORE Ramses 760 fans in there. The size on this case. All right, in centimeters, it's 26.9 by 58.5 by 56.2. And you guys should be able to visualize that unless you're an American and don't know what centimeters are. All right, as far as fans go, we can fit 3 120s in the bottom, and you guys can put a radiator in there. You've got 4 120s in the front facing outward. You can also optionally do 140s. On the top here, we have slotted holes, which I love. Love them slotted holes. You guys can put 2 120s or 2 140s. I've got a 280mm radiator in the top. And on the back here, on the rear, you can also put a couple of 120s or a couple of 140s right here with the slotted holes again. So you can put another radiator here on the back, which is a rare thing to see in a case. And one thing that's interesting about the position of the motherboard in this is it goes sort of in the middle. And since it's a very tall case, the power supply is mounted on top, but it's in a separate chamber, keeping all that heat and stuff on the back side of the case with all your cables. So essentially you have that and a few SSDs on the back, and it's going to stay clear of all your hard drives. Now, speaking of the hard drives, guys, you can fit 12 3.5-inch drives in here. You could turn this into a ginormous NAS case if you wanted to and just load it up with those Seagate 12 terabyte drives, the Iron Wolf drives or whatever. If you wanted to, you could do that. On the back, you can fit 3 additional 2.5-inch drives, and You can fit 2.5-inch drives in all of the 3.5-inch slots, meaning you can do 15 2.5-inch slots. So if 2 trains were traveling at 60 miles an hour, Sally's on one, she's got 12 3.5-inch drive bays. Billy has 15 2.5-inch drive bays. How old would they be if they never met? Answers in the comments, please. The height of the CPU cooler, maximum, is 195 millimeters, and the GPU that it can take is a 380 millimeter. Pretty much anything you can imagine you can put in here, and it's also easy to mod because everything's just like a nice open area. And then with all the airflow and stuff, it's ridiculous. One thing I like about having this many fans is you can turn it on low, not have a lot of noise. Like right now it's on. You guys can hear any noise coming off of this going into the microphone. I left it on just so you could hear that. So yeah, got those 2 side windows. I didn't do any cable managing on the back because I don't believe in it. I'm always changing things and I hate undoing ties and stuff. So that's the main thing I wanted to look at was this big, beautiful case. Got all the controls in the front and USB and everything. So yeah, I like this massive case. Okay, so next up, let's talk about the CPU. 3700X, right? Got that in there. Going to overclock that. Super fast, super powerful AMD. And it's also going to be a little bit faster than my 8700K when it comes to productivity. Maybe a little bit slower when it comes to gaming, but I'm okay with the trade-off because this is going to be mostly for work. Now for the graphics card, I used to have a 1080 and we're going to upgrade to a 2070. Get all that fancy ray tracing that it can barely run, but you know, I'll turn it down to medium, whatever. We got the GTX 2070 XC from EVGA. I don't know why I said it that way, but I'm not going to cut. This card has a beautiful little backplate on it, which doesn't help with the thermals that much, but it's just pretty. And it also has their very nice ECX cooling unit on there. It's overclocked as well. One of the better 2070s on the market, if not the best. We can argue about that in the comments. And it also has RGB because everything has to have RGB, right? They want to make sure that the elitists can complain and the casuals can be happy. For the RAM, we went all out with 32 gigabytes of Patriot Viper Steel Series 3600 megahertz RAM. This can be overclocked as well. Got all that in there. Going to help with productivity again, game development, whatever, using video editing programs and that sort of thing. 32 gigabytes is overkill for most people who are just going to be gaming. 16 is fine, but get 32 if you're going to be doing anything productive. Power supply on the back. We mentioned that before. We're using the RM750 power supply, and that's going to be plenty. We're going to have a couple hundred extra watts on top of that. So it should run in the sweet zone, which is around 80%. All right, let's talk about some hard drives. Right now, I only have the one hard drive in there. I'm probably going to expand it later, put some mechanical drives in there. But right now, I just have this guy in there, and that's because I don't have a Gen 4 for this AMD motherboard yet, but this is also very economical. That's one of the main reasons I got it, but you get a lot of space for the money. It's like just a little over $100 for a 960 gigabyte. This is the MP300 from Corsair. I might get a couple more of these and put them in there, plus one of those Gen 4 as soon as they are available. The one I wanted wasn't in stock, but yeah, Gen 4x4 would be my main drive. I'll just transfer it over when I get one of those. But for now, that's all that's in there. But I want to recommend this, guys. It's what you should be using. Right? Now for the motherboard.
The heart of the system, guys.
I've had a lot of luck lately with the ASRock motherboards. So we got the X570 Phantom Gaming X because it's loaded. It's got really good clean power delivery going to the CPU, allowing us to overclock. And then the PCI Express brackets are all reinforced. Got the steel brackets on there so that you can put the heavy cards in there and not strain the motherboard too much. You have Wi-Fi on this, 802.11ax, 2.4 gigabits. And then speaking of that, we've got 2 Ethernet ports in the back. One is a 2.5 gigabit per second port, and one of them is a standard Intel 1 gigabit port. And then we have a nice ID on here. We've got, of course, the fan over the North Bridge and that sort of thing. Got to have that on there for these AMD chipsets. But you have this nice, large, almost piece of armor that goes over the entire PCI Express area, and your M.2 are going to go under that, and there's going to be a heat sink. That'll be nice for those Gen 4x4 cards if they get a little warm. And you can fit 3 M.2 into this motherboard. So, of course, you got RGB. You guys can see that turned on right now. You can use the ASRock Polychrome sync. If you wanted to sync up everything, you can plug it into the motherboard and make that work. I'm kind of running everything separately right now because I'm ridiculous and saving time. Just saving a little bit of time here, guys. But maybe I'll get up to the motherboard in the future. My biggest thing right now is I'm going to try to see if I can fit this on my desk. Other than that, I love this. And this system, as far as like the build goes, this case was one of the easiest cases I've ever built in because a lot of stuff came pre-installed. Everything was easy to remove. There was no nonsense. You didn't have to like dig. I didn't have to dig around in there like I did with some of the previous cases in my last few videos to like get to very basic things. You know, the power supply makes a lot of sense where it is. So I didn't really find many things to complain about other than like looking at this thing and being like, is that going to be too big for my desk? But if you know you're getting a big case and you want a big case, I would recommend this over most of the large cases in this price range. Plus, it comes with so many fans that it's like ridiculous. Buying this many fans by itself would probably cost half as much as the case. So anyway, let me know what you guys think of this build in the comments. Go ahead and tell me. I know you've got lots of opinions. Do it. Also, head over to epicpants.com. We got a couple new t-shirts in there, and I think you'll like them if you're cool. If not, then you probably won't like them. They're made for cool people, obviously. So check them out at epicpants.com. We'll see you guys in the comments. Goodbye.